As the engines roared, propelling the Airbus A319 skyward over St Petersburg-Clearwater, a silent danger loomed, unseen, in the clear Floridian sky. In less than the time it takes to inhale, the crew glimpsed a Cessna M337, perilously close, prompting a split-second decision that averted disaster. Would you notice the thin 100-foot gap, a mere heart-stopping sliver of safety, that stood between routine and tragedy? In the orchestrated ballet of air traffic, what happens when the rhythm falters? Discover the unseen ballet of decisions and faults that almost ended in catastrophe. A clear April morning at St. Petersburg. Clearwater International Airport promised another day of seamless operations. The sun bathed the tarmac in a golden hue as passengers settled into their seats aboard the Airbus A319. Arguably, there is a certain sense of monotony in a routine takeoff, marked by the familiar hum of engines and the systematic execution of well-rehearsed procedures. Yet, that calm was about to be suddenly disrupted as Flight XYZ commenced its ascent. The tower had cleared the runway, and as per protocol, the engines escalated their throttled symphony, urging the aircraft forward into the air. From the cockpit, the pilot and co-pilot executed a series of precision maneuvers, eyes alert to instrument panels, yet glancing occasionally out into the expanse of sky ahead. But just as the A319 climbed, a harrowing realization set in. Directly in their intended path, at nearly the same altitude, was a Cessna M337. For an industry ruled by precision and timing, this unplanned proximity was catastrophic. Both the A319 and Cessna occupied space, governed by intricate rules meant to assure separation of layers and lanes. The edifice of certainty that defines commercial aviation faced a fracture, and it would fall to the A319's crew to write the next chapter of their flight narrative, one ideally ending with an anticlimactic but safe conclusion. Inside the Airbus, the cockpit environment shifted instantaneously as warning signals indicated the intruding aircraft. What had been a routine operation transformed into a finely choreographed crisis response. The pilots, veterans of the air, acted with the swiftness required by their training, calibrating the controls to halt their climb and level the aircraft. Their intention was decisive: slip beneath the Cessna's path, conceding the lesser altitude to avert what could morph into a collision. Such decisions, made in mere seconds, highlight the expertise and quick judgment pilots are trained to apply, the kind of responses conditioned by hours in simulators and real-life procedural reviews. Their actions speak not only to individual skill, but to the industry's broader dedication to safety, where every scenario, however improbable, is prepared for and rehearsed. Meanwhile, in the control tower, scattered moments permitted realization to crystallize into actions aimed at regaining command over the unfurling situation. Yet, the seeds of chaos were planted in a fundamental oversight, blending human error with a potential systemic lapse. This air traffic controller's failure to situate and manage both aircraft in separate envelopes of safe altitude underscored a painful truth. Current measures could fail. On the ground, oblivious to the drama above, airport staff went about their duties. Travelers at the terminal watched other flights leave and arrive without a hint of ordeal that played out overhead. The serenity of their sky was defended not by fate, but by intentional, urgent human intervention. The A319's crew's tactical leveling off safeguarded the slim 100-foot margin, separating their peaceful ascent from disaster, a thin sliver defining life and its potential absence. Yet, their triumph over immediate danger did not dissolve broader questions. How had such a predicament come to be? How did an industry starved of errors and championing safety as a creed arrive at this perilous brink? This is where the focus shifts to exploring how, in the orchestrated ballet of aviation, a loss of sync had fiery implications. Moreover, with the immediate crisis averted, the implication of such an oversight points directly to the air traffic controller, an integral guardian of order within controlled airspace. The onus also raised questions about whether procedural updates were necessary to avoid a next time. That consideration will lead us into examining the role of situational awareness and its criticality in air traffic control. In the high-stakes world of aviation, every second counts, and every decision can mean the difference between safety and catastrophe. This was precisely the scenario facing the pilots of the Airbus A319 as they ascended from St Petersburg-Clearwater International Airport. As the aircraft lifted skyward, the crew found themselves in a situation that would test their training and resolve. A Cessna M337 was unexpectedly crossing their path at a dangerously close altitude. The crew's response was immediate and calculated, reflecting the meticulous preparation that defines their profession. With the cockpit displaying the alarming proximity of the Cessna, the pilots reacted with a seasoned blend of instinct and training. They quickly disengaged the climb and leveled the aircraft, ensuring that they maintained a vertical separation of just 100 feet, a perilously thin margin in aviation terms. This maneuver, executed with precision, was designed to pass safely beneath the path of the Cessna, which was breaching established aerial norms by flying at an inappropriate altitude. Communication within the cockpit condensed into calls and confirmations as the crew navigated this unexpected challenge. These pilots, tasked daily with engineering the complex symphony of flight, now had to rely on swift, decisive action to steer them clear of jeopardy. While passengers remained blissfully unaware of the unfolding drama, trusting implicitly in the skill of those who guided their journey, the pilots' actions underscored the critical importance of comprehensive crisis training, a factor that had transformed what could have been a collision into just a tense note in their logbook. The 100-foot gap, minuscule against the wide expanse of open sky, became for these professionals a testament to both the effectiveness of pilot training programs and the sobering frailty of human systems prone to error. The industry standard mandates robust responses to fleeting conflicts like these, each decision made in line with extensive procedural knowledge and communication with air traffic control, though this particular situation called into question protocol oversight more than adherence. Yet, while the immediate threat was mitigated by the crew's deft handling, the circumstances surrounding the incident raised significant questions about preventative measures and systemic failures. Foremost among these was the air traffic controller's situational awareness. Ideally, the controllers, often the unseen hands behind a safe journey, should manage the seamless integration of diverse aerial vehicles into a cohesive flow. The near miss that morning, however, highlighted a lapse in vigilance that warranted scrutiny. As aviation continues to evolve, balancing the pioneering spirit of flight with the rigid demands for safety and precision, such incidents remain cautionary tales. They prompt industry-wide reviews of processes designed to reinforce airspace management and ensure that such critical situations remain anomalies rather than common occurrences. The A319 incident not only demonstrated the effectiveness of pilot training, but also illuminated potential gaps in air traffic control procedures. Examining how this incident, the result of a breakdown in situational awareness, devolved despite being loaded with layers of safety checks, brings us to the central role these controllers play. As we turn our attention to this aspect, we delve into what went awry in the tower and the steps the industry must take to shore up its defenses against human error. The safety net woven into the fabric of aviation relies heavily on human oversight, the watchful eyes of air traffic controllers who manage the complex dance of aircraft navigating shared airspace. On that fateful morning in late April, the fragility of this human element was starkly illustrated when a lapse in situational awareness by a controller became a pivotal factor in a near-miss incident involving an Airbus A319 and a Cessna M337. Controllers are trained to maintain a meticulous mental map of each aircraft's position, altitude, and trajectory within their designated airspace. At St Petersburg-Clearwater International Airport, the controller overseeing the A319's takeoff and subsequent climb was expected to manage and sequence air traffic with pinpoint accuracy. However, as the Airbus climbed, the air traffic controller's lapse allowed the Cessna M337 to drift dangerously across the A319's flight path without prompt corrective instructions. The incident sheds light on the intrinsic challenges faced by air traffic controllers, who must balance pressure, fatigue, and the ever-present possibility of human error. While radar and modern technology aid their efforts, the responsibility ultimately rests on these individuals to foresee and mediate potential conflicts. A duty that day saw momentary failure. This oversight in situational awareness proved costly, propelling aircraft into hazardous proximity and forcing the A319 crew into swift, life-preserving maneuvers. It's important to understand the invisible threads of pressure that tax controllers daily, overseeing a multitude of variables, from altitudinal separation to calculating aircraft speeds. Air traffic controllers serve as both orchestra conductor and safety custodian. Distraction, inattention, or diminished capacity due to understaffing or scheduling load can all detract from their essential focus, with potentially dramatic consequences. In examining this incident, aviation authorities have pointed to an urgent need for reinforced training and procedural reviews. There's a pressing call to fortify situational awareness protocols to ensure controllers are better equipped to manage scenarios where multiple aircraft's paths may inadvertently intersect. This inquiry not only assesses individual performance, but also explores whether systemic issues, such as understaffing, inadequate rest periods, or outdated equipment, played roles in this lapse. Moreover, the incident emphasizes the need for comprehensive training programs that simulate high-stress scenarios under various conditions, promoting unparalleled readiness and reducing the likelihood of errors. Integrating more sophisticated technology to assist in early detection and notification of potential conflicts also stands as a point of discussion. The incident further highlights the vital importance of communication. Timely, clear, and accurate transmission of flight intentions to pilots is crucial. Miscommunications or delayed instructions can exacerbate tension and infuse uncertainty into an already fragile situation, reminding all aviation stakeholders that procedural integrity is non-negotiable. While the A319 ultimately averted disaster through adept piloting, the role of the air traffic controller in this narrative is central. This episode serves as a wake-up call for the industry to refine operational protocols continually, acknowledging that despite technological advances, human vigilance remains an irreplaceable facet of air travel safety. Understanding the full picture, however, requires examining the actions of the Cessna pilot as well. As we transition to address additional complications posed by the Cessna pilot's deviation from standard procedures, we begin to piece together how layered compliance failures and communication mishaps culminate in close calls that could have ended far worse. In aviation, precision and adherence to established protocols are paramount, forming the backbone of safe operations in the sky. However, the near-miss incident involving the Airbus A319 at St Petersburg-Clearwater International Airport also drew attention to crucial deviations from these norms on the part of the Cessna M337 pilot. One of the fundamental duties of any pilot, regardless of aircraft size or function, is to follow the prescribed flight patterns designed to maintain safe and efficient traffic flow around airports. Adherence to standard circuit height and distance minimizes the risk of conflict with other aircraft, which, on that April morning, was seemingly forgotten. The Cessna M337, a twin-engine aircraft known for its distinctive sound due to its push-pull engine configuration, found itself at the center of a procedural breach that nearly led to disaster. By deviating from the standard flight circuit's altitude and distance parameters, the pilot unintentionally encroached into the path of the ascending Airbus A319. This breach in protocol was not a mere oversight, but a significant factor that transformed routine airspace management into a critical incident, demanding immediate corrective action from the A319's cockpit crew. Flight circuit protocols exist to impose order within the controlled chaos of shared airspace, particularly near airports where aircraft of varying sizes and speeds interact. Typically, pilots flying under visual flight rules, VFR, like the Cessna M337 pilot likely was, must remain especially vigilant. Maintaining prescribed altitudes and distances is fundamental to preventing conflicts with other, typically faster-moving, commercial flights executing their meticulously scheduled departures and arrivals. The deviation by the Cessna not only highlights a potential lapse in discipline from the pilot, but also signals a broader concern regarding consistent regulatory compliance and the sufficiency of existing oversight measures. Such lapses indicate the importance of regular pilot training refreshers that reinforce best practices and adherence to visual flight protocols. Furthermore, ensuring that all pilots operating in mixed traffic environments are well versed in local airspace regulations is imperative to safeguarding all occupants of the sky. This event serves as a compelling case study in the value of stringent monitoring and reinforcement of airspace regulations. More than a misstep by an individual pilot, it underlines systemic vulnerabilities in monitoring and enforcing compliance with these essential aviation standards. Authorities may need to consider enhancing surveillance technologies and increasing the stringency of penalty structures for recreational or semi-professional pilots found infringing upon these established paths. Building a narrative from these elements raises the stakes surrounding existing regulatory frameworks and industry expectations for consistent pilot behavior in shared airspace. It asks whether the current model, a model reliant on individual pilot compliance bolstered by occasional interventions, remains adequate in today's high-traffic aviation environment. In seeking to prevent future transgressions, the incident calls for a thorough examination of the methods by which pilots are trained and monitored, especially in areas with high traffic and complexity. As we analyze this breakdown and following prescribed flight patterns, the discussion expands to the broader implications of these errors and why rigorous airspace monitoring paired with adherence to established protocols is critical for averting close calls. The necessity of these measures finds its evidence in such incidents, propelling the narrative to consider where improvements can be made in policy and protocol to fortify the airspace against human and systemic errors. In the aftermath of a near-miss incident, the aviation sector is left to unravel the tapestry of decisions and mishaps that nearly culminated in disaster. The episode involving the A319 and the Cessna M337 at St Petersburg-Clearwater International Airport serves as a telling reminder of the intricate balance required in airspace management. As investigators scrutinize the events of that morning, the importance of rigorous airspace monitoring and strict adherence to established flight patterns comes to the fore. The aviation sector prides itself on its safety record, a fact achieved through the relentless refinement of protocols and technologies designed to anticipate and mitigate potential conflicts. Nonetheless, the incident demonstrated that even the most robust systems are not infallible when their human operators falter. The lapses, both in the tower and amongst pilots, underline the inherent vulnerabilities that come with human supervision over an increasingly dense and complex air traffic environment. Air traffic controllers wield sophisticated radar and communication tools to orchestrate the flow of aircraft. However, these instruments can only be as effective as the vigilance and acumen of the individuals who interpret them. When situational awareness diminishes, as it did in this instance, the risk of derailing this balance significantly increases. Reinforcing the importance of continuous professional development, controllers must regularly engage in scenario-based training that simulates real-world complications, ensuring they remain agile and responsive to the fast-paced demands placed upon them. Equally crucial is the necessity for pilots, especially those operating under visual flight rules, to adhere strictly to established flight patterns. These protocols are designed to create predictable paths, allowing controllers to efficiently sequence air traffic. The Cessna M337 pilot's deviation not only endangered the passengers aboard the Airbus, but also highlighted the gap between regulation and practice that can exist without strict compliance enforcement. Thus, enhancing pilots' understanding of these critical aspects through recurrent training must become a priority, ensuring both commercial and private aviators are equipped with the knowledge and discipline required for safe operation. Innovation in technology also presents opportunities to augment human capabilities. Advanced systems that can process vast amounts of data and provide real-time alerts about potential conflicts are vital instruments that can work in conjunction with human oversight to avert accidents. Implementing such systems universally could be a significant step toward reinforcing safety. Examination of this incident reveals clear pathways for industry-wide improvements. Regulatory agencies and aviation companies must collaborate to bolster existing frameworks and introduce innovations where necessary. Updating procedures, investing in cutting-edge training technologies, and committing to a no-compromise attitude on adherence to safety norms will fortify the airspace against lapses. These reflections underscore the critical need for a multifaceted approach to safety, one that encompasses stringent protocols, unwavering compliance, and technological support. As the industry moves forward, these lessons serve as pivotal turning points, driving enhancements that safeguard against the fallibility of human oversight. The necessity for these comprehensive measures becomes even more pronounced when we consider the root causes of such incidents, often attributed to human error and protocol lapses. As we delve into these underlying factors, our focus shifts to discovering targeted solutions that prevent future occurrences, ensuring the skies remain as safe and reliable as humanity's monumental achievement in flight itself. As investigators dissect the near-miss incident involving the Airbus A319 and Cessna M337, the intricate layers of human error and protocol lapses emerge as fundamental causes. These factors intricately interweave, challenging the aviation industry to confront its vulnerabilities and reinforcing the necessity for continuous improvement. The incident underscores that the intertwining of human decision-making and the steadfast protocols meant to guide them can unravel at critical moments, thus demanding a closer examination of failure points and realistic resolutions. Human error is an inextricable element in any operation, no matter how stringent the system. In the case of this near miss, both the air traffic controller's oversight and the Cessna pilot's deviation from established flight protocols contributed to the scenario. For the air traffic controller responsible for ensuring aircraft maintain safe separation, situational awareness is paramount. The lapse, whether due to cognitive overload, distraction, or fatigue, amplified the inherent dangers of managing busy airspace and allowed the Cessna to wander too close to an ascending commercial airliner. The Cessna pilot's departure from prescribed flight circuit height and distance further complicated the situation, highlighting gaps in protocol adherence. Such deviations can stem from a variety of causes: unclear communication from the tower, pilot inexperience, or even misinterpretations of flight rules. Regardless of the route, these breaches point to a broader need for reinforcement of regulatory compliance and a systematic review of pilot training methodologies. The combination of these human factors creates a fraught environment where simple misjudgments can lead to potential disaster. To mitigate these risks, enhanced training and the development of stricter compliance measures surface as imperative solutions. For air traffic controllers, ongoing professional development that incorporates stress management and cognitive training could improve their capabilities to handle real-time pressures effectively. Simulated emergencies and scenario-based exercises should be integral to both initial training and continuous education programs. Similarly, for pilots, particularly those operating within mixed traffic airspace, regular recertification brings crucial realignment with established procedures. Incorporating augmentative reality tools, these programs could offer nuanced insights into maintaining safe operational distances and dealing with unexpected airspace challenges. Pilot education must emphasize not only rote procedure, but also decision-making skills during uncertain situations, the kind of skills that transform a potential crisis into a controlled situation. Beyond training, the deployment of advanced technologies holds potential in reducing dependency on human interpretation during critical junctures. Systems like ADS-B, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, that provide detailed real-time positioning information can bridge gaps where visual cues or manual processes fall short. Such technology gives controllers and pilots an added layer of warning before situations escalate beyond mere human management. Institutionally, stricter compliance from aviation authorities is required. Regular audits, tougher penalties for non-compliance, and enhanced surveillance can act as effective deterrents, ensuring all entities engaged in air transport do not take safety protocols as mere suggestions, but treat them as essential mandates. This incident represents a call to action for the aviation industry. Failings in human judgment and systems need rectification through robust policy adjustments, technological innovation, and an unyielding commitment to safety education. The sky, indeed, is a shared expanse. Its safety relies on each contributor comprehending their role responsibly. As we transition from understanding the causes to considering preemptive measures, the narrative pivots toward evaluating the comprehensive strategies the industry can adopt. These strategies, if implemented effectively, harbor the promise of turning today's lessons into tomorrow's knowledge bank, ultimately cementing a safer aerial realm for all who trust it with their journeys.